live. I think we're going.
It says live now on my YouTube page.
Nice. Well, this is the first YouTube live video that we've done. We're trying out some new technology. Pretty exciting about it. This is the thing. One of the things that reminds me that that I'm not like in my 20s or geez, even in my 30s is all this tech stuff. But super excited to talk about our Christmas Island trip that we're going to be doing in 2020. I've done a couple trips to Christmas Island, so I have a few pictures and a couple stories, and so would love to share. Go ahead and comment on the video and in the comment box down below, and I'll respond to those. And then so for those of you that are watching this live, thanks so much for joining in. It's super exciting, and I hope this gets you stoked on Christmas Island. Learn a little bit about a really cool destination that is super remote, but actually is not that difficult to get to considering how remote it is. And I hope you consider joining us on a trip. So we'll jump in. A lot of people kind of are confused about where Christmas Island is at, and we're talking about the Christmas Island in the South Pacific, not the one in the Indian Ocean. And so people say, "Oh, do you see the red crab migration?" And cool video that you can go look up. That's not this one, but there's a lot of crabs on this one as well. But Christmas Island, it's directly south of Hawaii, Honolulu, directly south, right above the equator. And Fiji Air flies there every Tuesday, and it's only about a 3.5 hour flight, and so it's pretty easy to fly in there. When you get into the airport, this is the line you wait in. It's with a bunch of other anglers. So we'll have, I don't know, it seems like there's about 40, 50 other people that are there for the week to fish. But there's a lot of water to spread out. There's a couple different lodges on the island. Some of them are kind of close to us in town. And so we'll see some of the other anglers just driving by, but we'll show you a layout of the island and kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So here's a great photo from the sky, and Christmas Island has this unique horseshoe shape to it. It's a coral atoll, so there's not really dirt. It's just coral everywhere. It's pretty wild driving around. The airport is up here, and the town we stay in is kind of close to the mouth of the opening there, which there's a town here called London, and so we stay pretty close there at Sunset Horizon Lodge, and this whole inside part here, this is all lagoon. This is all water, and so and there's fish in all of this. There's about 150 square miles of water inside the lagoon, and a lot of that is fishable. There's also the coast with beach fishing that is available as well, and there's a lot of fishing opportunities there that maybe once during the week you'll get the chance to do. Maybe more. I like to take advantage of that. It's really fun. But it's sometimes you get there on the lagoon in the backcountry, and it just feels otherworldly. It's pretty wild, just the landscape of all of this coral. So cruising through town. This is pretty close to where we stay, and you'll see that there's big structures with roofs, and it's to harvest the rainfall. It's even though there's a 737 every week that flies in there, it's a pretty desolate place. The people that live on the island are wonderful people, and getting to know the guides, like you end up just really getting building up a great friendship and bond with them, just because they're so wonderful. But the people really do live in poverty. Many of them, it's very subsistence level, and so they need to harvest rain just to get. And then we're going to turn to our lodge right here. And I would say one of the things that and I don't always share this with our presentations, and I usually talk about this as a small group of the anglers that go with us on the trips, but it's a great thing, and I want to throw this out there just for hopefully maybe it encourages other people that are going on trips to remote destinations. But I think about like the circumstances of the people and what what their living accommodations are like and the things that they have to deal with. You know, on the island, they have to deal with like just medical stuff that we don't really have to deal with. You know, definitely here in Gig Harbor, the access to clean water, to medicine, to I mean, geez, just food. You know, I mean, hearing stories about how there's like a mango tree on the island and how expensive it is to buy a mango. You know, and while the guy's telling us this, we have like a big giant bag of dried mangoes from Costco. But I just feel like, I mean, many times we have the opportunity because of our circumstance in life and in our culture and society, where we can really be a blessing to other people and to the places we travel to. And so I always encourage our group about bringing some different items that can be helpful to local people and can be a gift and just a way to just I don't know, build a bond and say, you know, thank you for sharing your water with us. And so Christmas Island, man, you show up with a big bottle of Elite. that's great. I know some people show up and, like, you know, give the guides boxes of cigarettes. You know, I know they appreciate that, but that's just not something that I've done. But I like to show up with like some basic over the counter medicines that they have a hard time getting. I was talking with an individual, and there's a picture of him in the slideshow, and I was talking to him about, you know, I said, hey, when I come back, I would like to bring you something that would be helpful, and or maybe something for your wife. And he said she would really like a book, and she loves to read. She works for the government, and she has an education, and I said, so what kind of book? I mean, I can definitely bring a book. I mean, what kind of book would she like? And he's like, any book. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, she will read any book. And I'm like, oh my goodness, they just don't even have access to books. Like, there's not books on the island. So like this time around, I'm thinking, man, maybe we can all divide up the cost of an extra suitcase and just bring a suitcase full of books and like start like the first Christmas Island library. Maybe they have a library. I don't know, but they definitely have it. You know, don't have access to books like we take for granted with Kindles and Amazon and bookstores and all that kind of stuff. And so I don't know if you think about that kind of stuff when you travel, but more and more as I establish relationships with some of the people that I'm going back to, these places I'm going back to, and they just really appreciate just that small token of appreciation of, you know, getting to share their water with us. So Christmas Island, it sounds, you know, it is tropical, sounds awesome. You know, if you are an angler and you're wondering if this is a great place to bring your spouse to do like a couples thing where you can fish and like maybe your wife can hang out on the beach and read a book, or maybe you're, you know, maybe wives want to fish and husbands just want to hang out and read a book. Christmas Island is definitely one of those places where you're there to fish. Accommodation wise, it's rustic because it's so remote. I mean, it is difficult for them to get supplies in there, and so for example, I mean, here's where we stay. I mean, they're pretty basic rooms, and they have a small little mini fridge in there. They have electricity, which is great. There's a bathroom in each of the rooms. The water pressure, not too powerful. The hot water in some of the rooms, it's great. My room the last 2 times hasn't been that great, but I don't care. I'm there to fish. It's already warm, but they do have some stuff to accommodate us as anglers. They have some water here just to be able to rinse our gear off and stuff like that. One of the great things about this location, though, is that it's right on the beach, on the water, and so this is the area where we kind of stage up to eat our breakfasts, our dinners, kind of a hangout spot. A lot of times in the evening, the group will kind of migrate to the beach and watch the sunset, watch the waves roll in, just kind of soak in the fact that we're in the absolute middle of nowhere. So the fishing on Christmas Island, I kind of break the fishing down into maybe 3 primary kind of environments or fisheries. And the first one is the flats, and this is the one that most anglers fish most of the time. And I mean, this is it's big, 150 square miles of flats. And this is where you're going to encounter bonefish. Not only small bonefish, there's a lot of small bonefish. There's a lot of medium-sized bonefish. So there's plenty of fish that are schooled up in 1.5 pound fish. There's quite a few fish that are 4 pounds. Quite a few of those. There's actually a surprising amount of fish that are 6, 7, even 8 pounds. And I've heard from other anglers about fish that are double digits. Seems like that happens on specific tides, depending on the moon phase. And for me, I've caught a lot of bonefish in the Caribbean, and so I mean it's a little bit of a different environment here, just being on this coral atoll. But for me, I'm really intrigued with the other species that are there, and so I don't really hunt bonefish. I'll throw a fly to a bonefish if they're around. But for me, I love fishing for triggerfish and different trevally species, and I have a lot of fun with those, and so that's that's pretty much my focus. And so in the lagoon, and here's a picture of, this is on the wall at the lodge down by the beach, and so I took a picture of this just so I could kind of see what they have labeled, because they have a list of the different bonefish flats, and then they have them numbered on the map, and so it's cool to learn about just instead of just following the guide to where we're going to go, and I want to learn about what's this flat called, like, and why are we on this flat, because of the tide and conditions or whatever. Why did they choose to drop us off here? And so when we're in the lagoon on the flats, I mean it's bonefish, but there's also triggerfish, and we'll talk about different species, and I got some pictures and stuff like that in a bit. There's trevally, definitely giant trevally, lots of bluefin trevally as well. I've seen a few golden trevally, but I've seen more of them in the backcountry. And then there's various other stuff as well, sweet lips, just all sorts of things. But so for me, when I'm on the lagoon, I have usually my 8 weight and a 12 weight, and I'm fishing for either triggerfish or I'm just fishing for GTs. And I'll take the triggerfish rod and throw to a bonefish if the bonefish is there. So the lagoon is where that stuff happens. Lots of bonefish, etc. So we get picked up in the morning on an outrigger style boat that's got a nice little covered area, which is nice in the middle of the day. So we get picked up at the dock on the boat. They make the boats there on Christmas Island. They're not fast. They got like a 60 horse on them. And sometimes our little commute out to the different flats, because it's a big area, sometimes it might be, we might be on that boat for 30 minutes, maybe, sometimes 45 minutes depending on conditions. But what they'll do is that they'll drop us off at different spots along the way. And so you'll get off the boat with, your partner, angler, and a guide. Then the boat will leave and go, sometimes 100 yards away. Sometimes they might go a mile, and then they'll drop off anglers over there, and then they'll come back, at different intervals, pick you up, move you to a different spot, or so they communicate with radios, and so they'll fish the group and kind of move them along to different locations on the flats, and so it's So you're not in the water just fishing all day long. You get to take breaks. And so a lot of times what I do is I have my bottle of water, and I down my bottle of water, throw another one in my pack, and hop off the boat and fish. When I get back on the boat, I'll eat snacks. I pretty much don't count on the lodge for lunches. They make sandwiches, and I could probably handle the sandwich 1 or 2 days, but I know, maybe I'm getting judged here by some of you that just want the full Christmas Island experience. And if that's you, then by all means eat the sandwich every day. But I bring enough food that I can have all of my lunches self-sufficient. Don't need any of the lodge's food. So I'm just not a big fan of their sandwiches. So it's nice to be able to hop back up on the boat before getting moved to another spot or while being moved under the little canopy, like out of the sun, have some more water, eat some food, hang out, talk to the other group that gets picked up. How was fishing? What do you guys get? Like, hey, show me pictures. Like, it's a fun way to just kind of reconnect with some of the other anglers instead of it being at the end of the day. And so for our group, we'll probably have 2 boats that go out, and so the group kind of gets split in half. So if there's 10 or 12 of us, 6 of us, 5 of us would be on one boat, and then the other half would be on the other boat. So, so the weather at Christmas Island, you'll notice in some of the pictures that it's sunny. This last year when we went, we had quite a bit of clouds, and the weather patterns had shifted a little bit, and and so it had more to do with like La Nina patterns instead of El Nino patterns, and so like here's a decent sized bonefish that I got on the flats, but like the clouds that day, like it was starting to get dark, and so so for sunglasses, like good quality sunglasses are really important to be able to see the fish, especially when you start getting in conditions like this where you get changing conditions, it clouds up, and having like a yellow style lens, like I really like the Smith low light igniters. It's a great lens. Not only is it a great lens for winter steelhead fishing when you just want eye protection, polarization, to see rocks that you're gonna trip over and all that kind of stuff, but it's great for low light flats fishing situations, and I've run into that a couple different times, like in Cuba and in Christmas Island, etc. And having it is great to be able to pull that out of your bag. So speaking of the bag, I mentioned that I have a pack that I bring, but I also bring a backpack, Patagonia Stormfront zippered waterproof bag, and that just stays on the boat. And so that's got like additional camera equipment. It's got more flies. It's got food, a rain jacket. Just some stuff that I don't need to have on me when I'm on the flats, but it's got stuff that I want close by, not back at the lodge, inaccessible. And so there's that. So I've seen some other videos online. There's some really good stuff out there on YouTube about fishing Christmas Island. And I haven't seen very many people using a stripping basket. Usually people will hold coils and drop them. And for me, being a Puget Sound angler, walking beaches around Puget Sound for just years, we just use stripping baskets a lot. And so for me, it's not weird to use one. It feels really comfortable, and it kind of is weird to not use one. So this last year, I ended up bringing a stripping basket along just because, and I don't think it's necessary at all for fishing for bonefish, but I brought it along because I wanted to have it, especially for fishing GTs, to have line pull off the reel, ready to go, the drag already set, and then fishing for triggerfish as well. Sometimes you're around water that's the coral is more exposed, and like and it's just more, it's gnarly. It's not like smashed down. Oh, look at this. Doug's gonna hand me a stripping basket. Thanks, man. So this is the take basket, and we import these from Latvia, and these things are great. So I put this in my backpack, and then I put my reels. I put my reels in here, and so it doesn't end up taking up that much room when I'm traveling, flying out. I could probably just put it in my check bag and fit clothing in there. But if you pack it right, it's not going to take up a ton of room. If you have multiple anglers that are going on the trip and they all have the same baskets, you can just stack the baskets and have one person take them, and you can trade some gear around, and that's totally doable as well. So, but I like it because it's got a stretchy belt. Stretchy belts are great. Hey, it's just after Thanksgiving, right? So all of you with stretchy belts you're loving the stretchy belt after Thanksgiving. So the belt's stretchy. The basket, this polymer, the blue one, is designed for the tropics, so you don't have to worry about it getting soft and getting too squishy on you. It kind of holds together in the heat. But it's, if you're stripping fast and you hit your hands on this, it doesn't hurt like a plastic basket does. But the other thing that's great is that it kind of, you can wear it off to the side, you can sling it down low. There's a lot of options because of the belt and the flexible material of the basket. And so, so the rigid baskets have their place, but but I just think that the advantages of having that flexibility to kind of have it off to the side for longer strips, or aggressive strips, I mean, it's really nice. Instead of a plastic buckle, which can get broken, for those of you that have done any backpacking or stuff like that on the woods, man, those plastic buckles can break. And if you're in the middle of nowhere, that's not what you want. So they have a machined aluminum clip here that just makes it really easy, and that's not going to break on you. So this is a great saltwater basket. So I brought it along this last trip. I'm bringing it again this next trip. I loved it. I mean, I don't need it fishing bonefish, but when walking the backcountry and you're just like walking forever, and especially fishing the beach, and we'll get to beach stuff here pretty soon. So the bonefish are very difficult to see. We were able to see them here because the water was so shallow. You could just see their big fins just sitting out of the water as they were tailing, and it was incredible the way that the light was hitting them. It was I wish I took pictures of it, but I got all jazzed and excited. And I'm like, I'm gonna catch that big bonefish. But if they're in a little bit deeper water, and it's light conditions like this, it's gonna be very difficult to see the fish. So having good glasses is gonna be important for that. Now, triggerfish are very different than bonefish. They're very easy to see. Here's a video that shows a couple triggerfish, and before I start, I'll just point out that I think there's like one in here. There's a couple of them in here, maybe here and here. You'll see them like kind of waving their fins at you. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, there's one. So I don't know if on the live feed if you can see that from there. But there, you can see his tail coming up, breaking the water. Sometimes, and some of the triggerfish are orange, and you can see them, man, you can see those things from 50 yards away, 75 yards away. I mean, they just look like pumpkins floating out there. So, spotting them's not difficult. It's the technical cast and getting them to eat the fly. And then if they eat the fly, actually hooking them with all of their teeth. And then they fight like crazy, and they want to run back into their little hole. They have a little cave that they want to dive into, and burrow their stuff in there. They got a little spike on the top, a little trigger that will pop up to like lodge them in there. So an energetic guide, when you hook up a trigger, he knows where their little home is, and he'll run over there and like stand on top of the hole just to make sure the fish doesn't go in there and takes off the other direction. So you'll see them out there, and so it's fun because if you have a difficult time seeing the bonefish, trust me, you'll see the triggerfish, and there's a few different species of them. We'll get to that in a bit. So on the last trip, I caught a sweet lips. It was the last fish on the last cast, and I had not caught one of these, and I was like, man, I just wish I had caught like one of a different species that I hadn't caught the first trip, and all of a sudden this fish comes up on the flats, and I just I just flipped the cast. Like it wasn't impressive at all. Like it was kind of, I just like flipped it in front of me because I'm like, what's that fish? Bam! It hit, and there's my sweet lips, and then no one was around to be able to get my picture, so I had to try to do that on my own. So triggerfish. I mean, there's you have Picasso, yellow margin, the mustachio we like to call it, and these things have like big gnarly teeth, and they fight great. They're really fun fish. 8 weights are great rods to use for those, and then that 8 weight can double up as bonefish rod as well. If it's not windy, it's nice to throw a lighter rod. I mean, 7 weight. You probably even like have some fun with the saltwater 6 weight, but the wind does pick up a bit. So the boat underneath on the platform, underneath the shaded area, there's a rod rack there that you can bring extra rods along. If you bring 5 or 6 rods, you will probably get mocked by your other anglers. But 2 or 3 rods, totally acceptable. 4, I won't judge. So I like to bring extra rods for everyone else in case they break something. It's not for me. So the other area outside of the lagoon is the surf, and the surf is a really fun area. I mean, this is the sandy beach area. It's not always just nice sandy beach. Sometimes it's more coral and you'll see fish cruising in super close. Like, I mean, we actually caught a bonefish here. Here's Michael, the bonefish. The guide's like, "Oh, look at the bonefish right there," and I just handed him the rod. I'm like, "Catch it!" I wanted to see him catch one. So, and he did it first cast. It was impressive. But they're just in this like shallow area right along the beach, and I mean they're so close that it's a technical cast. If they were 30 feet, it probably would be an easier cast, or 40 feet would be an easier cast than when they're that close and part of your fly line is not going to land in the water; it's on the sand. So, so there's some good sized fish that are along that surf area too. There'll be triggerfish, there'll be bluefin trevally, there'll be giant trevally. Sometimes these GTs will be cruising along, and you can, if you're standing at the beach, you can see them from a distance and run down there and get in front of them. Other times, like here's a couple. This is from a double GT that Scott and I hit, and we were like waiting. We were out, about waist deep, right where the breakers were coming in, and we were casting out into the deeper water and just stripping as fast as we could. And it was a shoulder exercise doing all that casting and stripping, because it's we hooked I think we landed 5 out here in that spot. So it can be a lot of action in a short amount of time. A lot of fun. This is a big bluefin trevally, and it was cruising in close, and it was jamming. It was going fast. Threw the cast in front of it, and I didn't have to do anything. It just one strip, and wham, it just slammed it. So you have the surf. Now, I think it was this spot. I'm trying to remember. But one of the spots we go to, we fish the lagoon, hike across the land, which is about a quarter of a mile, to the surf, fish down the beach, hike back over land, back into the lagoon, and then meet up with the boat in a different area. And that's a really fun way to fish 2 drastically different types of water in the same day, and fish some water that other anglers aren't going to fish. And so I can't remember if this was from that or if this was from something else. I think it was from a different day. This might have been on the other end of the island down by Poland, but I can't remember. Last year we had the crazy idea of wanting to go camping, and so half of us we brought tents, camping gear, and we took off and went to the other side of the island, close to a town called Poland, and we camped out, and it rained on us really hard, and it finally cleared up like as we were kind of getting ready to make dinner. But the backcountry is an area that's deeper into the lagoon, and usually you'll have an opportunity to fish the backcountry, and each group can go into it's kind of like a gated conservation area where you can pay a little bit. It's like $10. You pay and you can go fish it one day, and each group's allowed to fish it one day. So what we did, we went and fished the surf on the other side of the island for the day. And then we came across to the backcountry in a different spot where all the other anglers go to. It's probably about 5 or 6 miles from where most of anglers access the backcountry. And then we camped out. We fished a little bit that evening, and then we woke up early. It was dark, and we just started walking these ponds in the backcountry for GTs. And unfortunately, we didn't get any GTs that morning. There was no bite. We didn't even see any fish. Later in the day, it turned on, which was great. But it's kind of like when you wake up at 3 in the morning to go steelhead fishing, and you're like first one on the water. At like 6 o'clock, you're out there, and then you end up hooking a fish at like 3 in the afternoon. It was like one of those type of things. Like, man, I could have slept in, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have had to kill scorpions. So. I mean, don't worry about scorpions. There's nothing on this island that can kill you badly. Or there's nothing that can kill you on the island twice. So the backcountry, I will recommend maybe bringing a little cushion, a little foam pad to sit, because to get there, it's a little bit of a trek. You're on a bench in the back of a truck, hopping around for an hour. I mean, it's you know, they don't have Highway 5 yet, so well, and our Highway 5 sucks, so that'd be bad too. But so I mean, you're just driving over pretty rough terrain. And it's cool area back in here because you'll see some different species of fish. I've hooked like really big ladyfish back there. We've seen some of the guys in the group have hooked golden trevally back there. I really want to hook one of those. That would be killer. Be super cool to see that. There are lots of bonefish back there as well. And the bonefish that are in the backcountry, it's like I kind of think of it as like backcountry trout fishing. Like you go backpacking into like high elevation lakes and like you just throw a dry fly on it and a trout comes from the depths and crushes it, and you're like, they'll never do that, you know, on any stream that sees anglers or whatever. This is like the bonefish back there. They just gotta cruise along, throw the cast in it, they just zip over and munch it. Like they're you know, maybe I'm making it sound a little bit easier than it is, but they're not as difficult to catch as the fish that are out on the flats. In the backcountry area, there are some big GTs. There's an example of a big GT. Unfortunately, this one we didn't hook it on the fly. We used conventional tackle on that one. But so we kind of made a pact this last time. We're like, hey, look, we're spending a lot of money. We're going a long distance to go fly fishing, and like fly fishing is not easy. It's not the easiest way to catch a fish, but it's the best way to catch a fish. Let's not get tempted to do anything else and hit any shortcuts. Like we're here, we've invested X amount. We're practicing casting, we're tying flies, we're doing all this stuff. Like it's just that much more. Let's just stick with the fly and like let's do it. You know. And if we don't get one, then man, the hunt is part of the fun. So. But yeah, we've hooked some big fish. So in this area right here, we had another angler hook a fish and lose the whole fly line. It also broke the rod, and unfortunately, it was one of mine that he was part of. But you know, it's the story that counts. So gear, this is kind of how it breaks down. Like bonefish, 7 and 8 weights, great. Triggerfish, 8 weight. There's a lot of in the backcountry. There's a lot of these smaller GTs. And I mean, don't underestimate these fish. Like a GT that's this big can just own you on a 9 weight or a 10 weight. I mean, it's shocking how hard they can pull sometimes. But if you're really going to go after the big ones, I mean, having like an 11 or 12 weight with a drag that can stop fish, I mean, it's you know, and we're talking like if you're going to do it right for 12 weights with GTs. I mean, don't skimp on the reel for your 12 weight. I mean, you want stopping power to be able to stop. I mean, it's like hooking a Hummer driving by this shop here. I mean, you gotta be able to stop them. So there is no fly shop on Christmas Island that I know of, and the guides they don't provide gear. So the gear that they have, the stuff they have, it's because anglers left it for them. Quite a few people leave their boots. The coral just trashes boots really quickly, and these guides, they will cook through boots because they're out there fishing all year long, and they'll cook through boots pretty quick. And so, I mean, it's really appreciated to leave them their boots. They'll trade them around to find out who's got the right size foot. But like, you know, so if your guide doesn't have that size foot, that's okay. Leave your boots. Like, I mean, they'll trade. They'll work it out. They'll take care of each other. So flies, you got to bring your own flies. We have some fly assortments that we're putting together for the trip. We'll have those up on the website here pretty soon. We just redid our fly selection on the website. We're building that out, and our Puget Sound saltwater and tropical flies are on there now for the most part. And we're working through steelhead, and then we're going to jump into the trout stuff. And so that's been a big project. But boots, we're not talking neoprene boots. I mean, you want something that has good support and protection as well. But you're walking quite a bit, and you know you're walking on hard surfaces and sharp stuff. And so, I mean, having some good boots is great. And then for sun protection, it's not that it doesn't. When I've been there, it hasn't been that hot. it's just crazy bright. Like it's so bright. And like I remember the first time I was shocked. I got home from my first Christmas Island trip, and I had worn like Patagonia sun shirts all week and stuff like that. And I remember taking my shirt off and like seeing myself in the mirror, and my back was tan, and I'm like, dude, I'm from Washington. Like, where did that come from? Like, it was crazy. So even through like a 50 SPF shirt, I still got tanned up just being down there. And so gloves, good angling gloves that have stripping guards on them. When you're strip setting on a GT or something like that, you want to have that protection. But then also the sun protection on your hands. I love the Patagonia Tropic Comfort hoodie. That hoodie keeps a lot of sun off. It's super comfortable. I can wear a buff covering most of my face. And then I really like the Neutrogena 100 SPF sunscreen cream. And that stuff I love. I love it. It's great. So I've been using that for a long time. And I always leave a bottle of guides. And now I have so one of my buddies in Cuba, Shayway, he asked me, he's like, hey, when you come back down, can you bring the 100 SPF Neutrogena? So they're all about it as well. So for upcoming trip, this is what we got. We're going April 27th to May 5th. It's just over $2,500, and then there's travel expenses. So we fly to Honolulu on a Monday. The flight to Christmas Island is on Tuesday. It's not a flight that you want to try to connect to. It's a flight that's about around noon, 11:30, I think, on that Tuesday. And so you want to allow time to be able to make the flight. Last year, we had the snowpocalypse in February, and I had a 10-hour flight delay in Seattle, and I was able to still make it to Honolulu, spend the night with our group, and then fly out the next day. I was stressed for sure, but if you miss that Tuesday Honolulu flight, you aren't going to Christmas Island. And so that little box at the bottom when you're booking on Alaska Airlines, it says, yes, I want to get the travel insurance from Allianz for $22 or whatever, $27. That's not, if you're trying to save some money on the trip, like that's not the place to try to save the money. You want to get the travel insurance. So just in case something comes up. The flight to Christmas Island, it's around $1,000, maybe $1,100 round trip, depending on when you book, etc. And it's a great flight. The great customer service on the flight. They serve meal, and it's top notch. So when you're there on Christmas Island, your lodging, your guided fishing, your food is covered. There's beer and sodas in waters in your fridge, and you're essentially allotted an amount for the week of waters. If you're gonna drink beers and sodas, you just pay for them at the end of the week, and it's a couple bucks per. If you want booze, you got to bring it with you. And so there's a duty free in the airport in Honolulu, right by the gate. Really easy place just to buy a bottle of booze. And so don't leave your bottle of booze there. You can't take it and fly it out with you. I mean, I guess you could probably put it in your check luggage, but don't leave it there. Dump it out. It's we've heard stories of other groups showing up and not having some guides for their day of fishing because the last group left bottles of booze, and they're just not used to that. So that's I don't know. I like to if I can encourage people to make healthy choices, that's great. So if you're coming along and you want to split a bottle of Woodford with me, I'll be your partner, and we will make sure that we don't leave anything that would harm anyone else. So we'll finish that one off. So you're responsible for gratuities and to the guides, and it's about $20 a person. You can upgrade to a one-on-one single angler guide, and it's an extra $50, and then you're responsible for the full tip, so about $40. So for an extra $70 a day, you can have your own guide one-on-one. For anglers that are new, this is a great way to have someone that's always with you, working on your casting, presentations, showing you fish, all that kind of stuff. And I would say that for new anglers, this is actually a great destination to go. Don't be intimidated by pictures of big GTs and all this kind of craziness. I mean, you can go and, having realistic expectations that you're gonna hook, a few bonefish a day, and they're gonna fight like crazy, like nothing else you've hooked on a fly rod, and you're gonna have a blast. You're gonna make casts at triggerfish. You might even hook one. You'll hook smaller trevally. I mean, for newer anglers getting into the salt game, this is a great introductory trip. It's awesome. For more advanced anglers, I mean, there's all sorts of really cool stuff that you can fish for here, and you will not get bored with fishing for some of these picky triggerfish, as well as just hunting down some of these monster GTs. I mean, it's a pretty wild experience. The fourth fishery that I didn't mention in the presentation, but I'll just throw it out here now, is that there's a blue water fishery as well. Not very far from the beach. You can go out and there's yellowfin tuna, there's billfish, there's wahoo, all sorts of stuff like that. But I would say that you're going to Christmas Island and it has these other species and it's great to fish there for those. And the boats aren't really set up for blue water fishing. They're not. I mean, they don't have bait to bring tuna close to the boat. They're not trolling. They can't go fast, so they can't like chase down a bait ball. With diving birds, by the time you get there, they're gone. You can go out and catch some fish, but if you want to do blue water fishing, I mean, I just go to a place that's got great blue water fishing. Like, I mean, I'm going to Guatemala this year. Like, awesome blue water fishing. So, next year we're looking at doing a trip to Colombia. I mean, killer. So you're going here. Go to do the flats fishing. It's great. I really wanted fresh yellowfin tuna, and so what we did is, in our group is like, yeah, we want yellowfin tuna for dinner. That'd be awesome. So instead of us going out and trying to catch it and like burning the day fishing doing that, we just talked to the lodge manager, and we just offered to pay extra money. We're like, hey, we'll give you $20 and you can get us tuna. And so we ended up having tuna every single day. It was awesome. And I mean, there's commercial tuna fishermen like right there, in town essentially. So it's pretty easy for them to find that. So happy to answer any questions you have about this trip. We hope that you would join us on it. We're really looking forward to going again. Our shop manager Doug is going to go on this trip as well as myself, and so we'd love for you to join us. Let us know if you have questions, and hopefully we'll see you on Christmas Island.